You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at. They turn it back around. Can't stop me.
Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. We got a spicy book tonight to talk about. So, Frank, tell us about your new book you got out.
Well, great. Thanks for having me on, Aeson. It's called The Magical Sex Book. And, it is about sex, of course, but it's also about relationships. Because if you want to have really amazing, oh my God, sex on a regular, sustainable basis, you got to have a really high functioning relationship.
Mhm.
So we talk about that. You need a magical relationship to have magical sex.
You do. And, sex is a lot more than the physical acts. Physical acts are cute, but
Right.
that's not going to give you that kick-ass power.
That's right. And we talk about one of the 4 steps that you can use to get ready to have magical sex and what you do
Mhm.
after that. You
Right.
want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, let's
Okay.
get into this.
Okay. The first step we call pre-play. The second step, and then I'll talk about each one of them.
Mhm.
The second step is foreplay. The third step is the play, and then the last step is afterplay. So let's jump back to pre-play, and the reason we call it pre-play because it comes before foreplay, and most people know what foreplay is. At least I hope they do, and but we do spend a lot of time talking about that in the book as well.
Right.
But pre-play is how you set the stage for foreplay. And why that's important is because the way men's brains and women's brains operate are different.
Mhm.
In fact, we have a whole book on that. We called it, oh, so that's why they do that. Men, women, and their hormones.
Exactly.
And then so we need to get the woman ready for foreplay. We know that we need to do foreplay to get her ready to have the play.
Mhm.
Replay is what gets her mind and her emotions present in the moment so that you can really connect with each other, because it's all about the connection. How deeply you're connected is how magical the sex is going to be.
Right. But I wonder if it's really tied to masculine to women and men.
Oh,
Because I
absolutely.
find the same behaviors in non-binary relationships, gay relationships, unicorn relationships. You've got to have all those components still there.
That's a really great point. And we say men and women, but what I'm really talking about is masculine and feminine.
Hmm.
Now, there's a lot of male guys who are very feminine, and
Hmm.
that's fine. And there are a lot of women who are very masculine, and they are high testosterone people.
Hmm.
They like to take risks and do crazy things, and
Hmm.
some of them play really intense sports, and that's fine.
Right.
So we're talking. They say opposites attract. Well, it's really like attracts like,
Right.
but the opposites that attract are the masculine energy and the feminine energy. They're like
Hmm.
magnets, that pull you together. So that's what we're really talking about there. Is now so now for to get the feminine energy person
Hmm.
ready to have really cosmic sex, then you have to get them present and aligned with you. So we talk about a lot of exercises that you can do in that pre-play phase, where some of it, I don't know if you know the hand on heart, I don't know if you can see me,
Hmm.
but you put your right hand over your heart and you're standing there across from your partner, and you reach out and you put your left hand over their right hand, and they're putting their right hand over your left hand,
Hmm. Right.
and we call that hand on heart, and you are actually exchanging energy
Hmm.
in that process, and that connects you. And while you're doing that, we also suggest that you look deeply into each other's eyes And that while you're doing that, you also try and synchronize your breathing. I know it sounds really complicated, but it's like walking and chewing gum. After you've done it a couple of times, it's simple.
Hmm.
So now you're connected physically, you're connected psychically, and you're connected emotionally.
Right.
And boy, that really, really sets a stage. Then there's some other things we do. Sometimes we do some dancing. We'll do some really fast dancing just to get everything shaken up and moving. And
Hmm.
then we'll come in close and do the high school dance, where you
Hmm.
just hold each other and sway back
Hmm.
a lot. And then we do some things like hip thrusting, um, PC clenches. Everybody know what PC clenches are.
Right.
The women call them Kegels. Well,
Right.
that strengthens your sexual organs, your
Hmm.
sexual equipment, and also gets the blood flowing down there.
Hmm.
So that's about pre-play, and we have a whole appendix in the book with
Right.
a list of exercises and things. So now we get into foreplay, and foreplay is really more important for the women, but that doesn't mean that men don't need foreplay.
Right.
And you can't just jump on him. And sometimes you can, but sometimes you have to get him up and get him present
Mhm.
to be ready
Right.
to perform. And then there's a whole chapter on the play, different ways. And I mean, there have been so many books out there on joy of sex and oh my,
Right.
all those different positions. And it's not about the positions. It's not about how fast you make it. It's how long you make it. It's
Hmm.
and how deep the connection is.
Well,
So
that, and I think it's about, in my opinion, it's about the mental connection. Like sex starts for most people 3 days before it ever occurs.
you're right. Absolutely. And foreplay and pre-play really begins right after your orgasm.
Hmm.
And
Right.
what we call afterplay, which is what
Hmm.
happens right after your orgasm,
Hmm.
is that you take time. When when you have an orgasm, men or women or both get a shot of oxytocin.
Hmm.
Oxytocin is the bonding hormone,
Right.
and women get flooded with it. And women, I can talk about that later. There's a lot
Right.
of ways that women boost their oxytocin. Men
Hmm.
also get a huge dose of oxytocin, but they also get a huge dose of testosterone. And
Hmm.
testosterone then blocks the oxytocin.
Right.
So now the guy's had his orgasm. He feels really loving and cuddling for about 30 seconds. And then
Hmm.
the testosterone kicks in and he goes, what do we got to eat? What's on TV? I need a drink. I want to go to the bathroom. He
Hmm.
wants to get up and start moving. But this
Or
is the,
roll over and fall asleep.
oh, that too. So this is the time, guys, to take 10 to 20 minutes and really be there cuddling and holding and stroking and touching and absorbing all that amazing sexual energy that you
Hmm.
both just created.
Hmm.
And here's the key: with that sexual energy, you can create sex magic.
Hmm.
And everybody said, what is that? Well, everybody knows that thoughts have energy. And what you think about is what you tend to attract. That's the law of attraction. So we know that sex has energy because we can feel it. So
Hmm.
if you combine the energy from the sex that you just had with the energy of your thoughts, that's like putting rocket fuel on
Hmm.
your thoughts. And then if not only if you're doing that, but if your partner's doing that at the same time, now you've got two of us putting rocket fuel on our thoughts. If we're both thinking the same thought, your odds of your manifesting what you're thinking about are exponential. And
Right.
we've used this and very successfully. So
Very successfully. And sex magic is one of those taboo topics right now. I'm like, oh, please. People have been doing it for hundreds of years,
right, right.
and creating stuff and sexual energy is creative energy. What I find interesting is the same 4 steps you have are the same 4 steps for a BDSM scene.
Absolutely. And BDSM, to my way of thinking, is a great form of
Mhm.
foreplay. And
Right.
the pre-play is where you negotiate the scene.
Right.
So I think for many people, my experience with BDSM is a little extensive,
Hmm.
but doing the negotiation for the scene is almost as erotic as doing the scene.
Right.
ready. You're anticipating all the feelings that you're going to have when the scene actually happens.
Right.
So, nothing like getting a hard swat on the ass to bring you into the present moment.
Well, true, but at the same time, it's not, sitting there doing the dinner dishes and getting a hard swat on the ass can do the same thing, but not the same
Result.
environment.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that that's what happens with couples, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Couples get tied up in their day-to-day activities. They get tied up into getting little Johnny's homework done, little Susie off to cheerleading practice. The boss is mad at him, so he's got to figure out how to make the boss happy. There's leaves to rake, there's grass to mow, and she's just trying to get 5 minutes of his attention at the dinner table.
That's exactly right. And we have, there's I say, women really need to teach their partners how to be lovers.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to school, we're taught how to be good workers
Mm-hmm.
because our country's run on corporate profits. And to have corporate profits, you got to have good workers. And
Right.
the smarter they are, the more money they make and the more money the corporate makes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not trained to have great, satisfying relationships, because if we do that, we might not want to work as hard.
Right.
So that's my thinking. But so we need some training. And where do you go to get that? I mean,
Right.
you have to hunt for it. I know I did, because I was a fighter pilot in Vietnam. I don't know if I told you that, but when I came back from that war, I was still really committed to doing that, and I worked as an instructor pilot, teaching new pilots how to be fighter pilots. And I just gave my whole life to that,
Mm-hmm.
to flying those airplanes, and it really torpedoed my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was having a lot of fun flying those airplanes and scaring the hell out of myself every now and then, but I was neglecting my relationship. I should have been scaring the hell out of myself with the status of my relationship, because I wound up divorced.
Right.
And I said, I'm pretty smart. I got a degree in engineering, and I got a degree in law, and I got a degree in business, and I know how to study.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start studying everything I can find about love, sex, and relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you I work with a shaman who taught me about sex magic and a lot of other stuff. And I found teachers in Europe, tantra teachers from India. And I read everything. If you can look at the books behind me, all those books are about love, sex, and relationship.
Right.
So I just study. I mean, I love to study and I love to learn. And so I said, well, now I think I'm ready to try it. And I mentioned before, we were talking before the show, I met my wife at a tantric ceremony.
All right.
And I walked in the door and I saw her. She looked up and smiled at me. I was already smiling and looking at her. We
Mm-hmm.
just clicked right then.
Right.
We went out the following weekend, and that's it. We've been together ever since. And we still, to this day, every Sunday, we have our day of worship, and we worship each other using our tantric practices.
Ooh,
So,
nice.
it's just wonderful. I can't tell you. It's just, and we use all the stuff that we have in this book to connect each other. And it's really funny. About 3 or 4 months ago, we were talking about how we could improve even more in our lovemaking. And she said, what we ought to do is go back and reread our book. I mean, we wrote that book 1.5 years ago,
Right.
but we need to refresh ourselves, because I talk about my website, by the way, is called
Right.
Top Gun Love. And
Right.
that doesn't mean I love guns. It means I want to be a top lover, like a fighter pilot wants to be a top gunner. And
Right.
and to be a top gunner, man, you got to study everything you can find about your airplane, about the ammunition, about all that stuff. And then you got to go out and practice. And that's what top gun pilots do. They study and practice as much as they possibly can. So what if we did that with our relationship?
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be amazing? If we spent, guys are funny, we'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars on our hobbies. And
Mhm.
if we would think about spending even part of that time and money, I mean, like 10% on our relationship, it would be amazing. Our
Sure.
partners would go, what? Who is this person?
Right. And
So,
partners in general go through phases. Relationships go through phases, and there's always that new. I call it the new relationship hormones, and they run for 3 to 6 months, depending on how slow you take that endorphin hit down. And then you got to figure out, okay, what else do I like about you? What
That's
do I
right.
need from you? Oh, well, I need XYZ. And I find people have a lot of trouble, one, hearing, I need XYZ. I need this from you here. I need this from you here. This is what I really want. What's your thoughts on that, of laying out the menu and going, here's what's on the menu. What do you want off of it?
Well, that's great, and that's exactly what we talk about and what we need to do. We created rituals. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you fly an airplane, particularly a complicated jet fighter, everything you have to do everything by the checklist,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a ritual. And I don't care how many times you've done it, we hold the checklist in our hand when we're doing it, and so we don't need that in our relationship, but we do need these rituals that we do on a daily basis to
Mm-hmm.
remind ourselves that, hey, we got something going here. We love each other. We need to know what we're doing and how to take care of all the miscommunications that we get. So
Right.
we do this crazy thing we call morning worship. Everybody goes, what? So we take like 30 seconds in the morning at breakfast or just after we get ready to go do our respective work. And I'll say, you know what, honey, I really love you. I
Mm-hmm.
love the way you look. I love the work you do. Your counseling work is just amazing. Your artwork is fantastic. Really great tits. I love them. And
Mm-hmm.
so I finish by saying I love you. And then she turns around, she says, "Well, I love you. Thank you. And I love the way you bring masculinity. I love the way you maintain our house and fix things, and I love the way you write your book and all that stuff." And I say thank you, and then we go off and do our thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one ritual, morning worship.
Mm-hmm.
That may not fit into a lot of people's rituals, but then
Right. But
then
some of your daily to-dos are easy, like touching,
yeah,
talking,
yeah, and
spending
we
focused time together.
walking through the kitchen or walking by
Mm-hmm.
the table when one of us is sitting at the table. If I go by her, I I never miss just touching her shoulder or patting her. And if we're in the kitchen, I can't get away from her without her kissing me.
Mm-hmm.
And when we first got together, I wasn't used to that, and it made me kind of nervous. But she said, "Honey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to express my love for you and kissing you, just as little kind of
Right.
kisses, you know." And then occasionally she does that. I grab her and
Mm-hmm.
and really give her a good smooch.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah, those are really important. Touches are so important.
right.
Hugs are so important.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's part of it. Then we do the evening news at dinner table, and I think most families want to know, what did Johnny do at school? What did
Mm-hmm.
Kathy do? And what are you doing after school? And what did mom do? And what did dad do? And the kids could probably be less interested, but mom wants to know what dad did. What's he
Mm-hmm.
doing at work? What's working? What's not working? And is he having
Mm-hmm.
trouble with the boss? Is with a, with one of his workers? So she
Mm-hmm.
wants to know, and he wants to know, or he should want to know what she's doing. And
Right.
and one of the things about that, and I neglected to mention in pre-play, one of the first things we do in pre-play is talk to each other. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
spend 15 or 20 minutes just talking about what did you read in the paper? What movies do you want to see? What show do you want? Do you want to watch a show on TV, or you want to whatever you
Mm-hmm.
want? And it doesn't matter what you talk about. What
Mm-hmm.
really matters that you're communicating and talking.
Right.
And once again, I say women get that oxytocin when they
Right.
talk, and that's how they bond. But they not only get oxytocin, they get norepinephrine and dopamine
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of others. It's a real cocktail, and
Right.
it makes them high, and we like that.
Right. And then, the other to dos here about lightening the load, taking on little chores you can do that makes your partner life easier and less stressful will go a long way. Snuggling. There's one, I want to add number 7 to here.
All right,
All right. Gratitude.
absolutely. I was
Okay.
actually going to get to that
Yeah. Go
because
for it.
One of the last things we do at night before we turn the light out is our thankfulness or our gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
we say things that we're grateful for today. Well, first of all, I'm grateful for my partner. I'm grateful
Mm-hmm.
for the work that she does. I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for my friends who coach me and tell me what I'm doing, and I listen
Mm-hmm.
to my things that are going on, and I say what I like about myself that day is that I got some work done on my novel I'm writing, and I did, I don't know, 4 pages, 2 pages, whatever I did,
Whatever.
and I took out all the trash and I cleaned out this and did all that,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last thing I say is what I did for fun that day, and maybe it was just going for a walk, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was watching Formula One on Sunday or whatever, or just
Mm-hmm.
whatever I did for fun. And then she does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we express our gratitude.
Yeah, well, that's one of Aeson's secret weapons. I get people that call me all the time, and the relationship is terrible. They're arguing and fighting. He doesn't come home half the time. She doesn't need, she wants this relationship or he wants this relationship, and the other person is just done. I said, all right, I want you to try something for 2 weeks. Every time he comes home, thank him for coming home. Every time he does anything, I don't care how small it is, get you a cup of coffee, whatever, say thank you. Every time that he, does something that doesn't directly impact you, or calls you on the phone, or sends you a text message or whatever, thank him at the end of the call. You will see a change in a relationship in no time by just injecting that you are valuable to me to a masculine energy in no time.
You're absolutely right. Men really need that acknowledgement, and
Mm-hmm.
they need to know that their wife appreciates the work that they do. And
Right.
guys think that just because they're the breadwinner and just because they're bringing, the dough home, that that's all they have to do. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
not all they have to do. You have to give each other what you want. My wife has a great thing. She says, always ask the question, what do you need and what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And then sit down and tell each other. And part of that thing would be, when you have a little meeting, say, well, what do you really like about our relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And what's not working in our
Right.
relationship? And what can we do to make it better?
Right. And I think that now it needs to happen on a scheduled basis, especially when you have people working 2 jobs, 4 jobs,
It
running
does.
businesses, all
Absolutely.
that. Make an appointment, you know,
That's
three
a
months
great
in
idea.
advance.
And yeah,
And
and
sit down and have negotiational sessions. Like,
good.
I need you to stop leaving your dirty clothes on the floor. Fine. I need a hamper by the door when I come in because I'm sick of the clothes when I get here. You know, and taking out those little nitpicky arguments. They're actually probably more bent up on. I need to acknowledge, I need you to acknowledge that I exist more than your, you know, bodily fluid vessel and housekeeper. And I need to feel like that I'm still the king of the castle because I'm sorry, men are still in the hunter gatherer phase from like 3000 BC.
Right. Yeah, that's really, really great advice. And I, you know, men don't get how women need to talk,
Right.
and they get really bored with because women talk about trivia. Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. They're reaching out to connect with you,
Mm-hmm.
and if you want to talk about something different, change the frickin' subject, you know,
Exactly.
and make it something that you could both be interested in. Say, oh yeah, no, it's really great, honey. I like hearing about all those shoes you saw in the window of whatever department store. But how about whatever? When are we going to go on that trip that we talked about? Are you still up for camping? Or we better do something before it gets too cold and starts snowing, whatever. So change the
Right.
subject into something that you want to talk about. She doesn't really, well, she might care. She wants to be heard, but
Mm-hmm.
she wants more than anything to have that connection. And
Right. And take a mental note if she's talking about a specific type of shoe.
that's great. Yeah.
Do not mess up and get her a blender for Christmas, or you will be in it.
Buying her a vacuum cleaner for her birthday.
Yeah. No.
That's I know a guy who did it. That's not a good idea.
Is he still living?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't think
I actually lost track of him.
so.
I
Okay.
yeah, for
And,
good reason. Yeah.
these are things that I think come into the pre-play, post-play. And,
Absolutely.
very much in post-play, especially if you do something different. One, you need to clear up. You didn't learn that from the lady down the street or the bagger at Walmart that always talks to you that she gives you a side eye to. Two, you need to figure out if she liked it or not.
Yeah, well, I got this book. Let me
Yeah,
just hold it up here. This is our book, and in here, whoops, I can't keep it
you're
in
good.
here are all the tips that you need to make your relationship work. It's not easy. It
Mm-mm.
takes time, and you'll have differences of opinion, but it really covers A to Z. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
all in there. And if you have any questions, you can call me. I think we were going to talk about that later,
Yeah,
but this
let's talk about your coaching sessions because I
yeah,
actually
I
threw
I
it up.
love as you can tell, I love talking about love, sex, and relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I, studied. I made every mistake you can make, and
Right.
I've had women in my life that would do anything,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've had the opportunity. I haven't done everything, but I've done everything that I wanted to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
experienced BDSM. I experienced swinging, and you know what I found out? That's not it. What's it is the connection I have with my partner. And I learned that with my tantric wife because
Mm-hmm.
we have that really deep connection. And it doesn't matter if we do bondage. It doesn't matter. Well, she doesn't want to go to swingers parties, and I don't either, because
Right.
my experience of that was I never had a connection with any of those people.
Right.
It was just a physical. It was different. It wasn't painful. It was
Right.
fun actually meeting a lot of people, but that wasn't what my soul wanted. My
Right.
soul wanted to have that connection with that other being that was
Mm-hmm.
just as deep as it could be. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's just so I can't say enough about the ecstasy that the two of us experience on Sunday in our worship and
Mm-hmm.
our Sunday worship. So, um,
So, what would be your tips for someone that's in that what I call ER? The relationship is on life support
wow,
situation.
you have to really look carefully at that. And if your partner is not willing to do something about it, then you really don't have a place to go. You
Mm-hmm.
have to know, you both have to say, well, wait a minute. We were in love and we felt this way when we got married and we're here, or we got in committed relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
why did we lose that? And how can we get it back? And if he says, I don't think we can, it's too late, it's over, or if she says that too, it may be over.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to look at and I say, don't beat a dead horse.
Right.
And so you have to have a partner that's willing to change.
Right.
And you have to, that doesn't mean it's all their fault either. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
take responsibility for your part in how the relationship got to this ER phase in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to get them to take responsibility for their part in creating this disaster that you have to deal with now.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not willing to take responsibility for their share, then you probably don't have much of a prayer of
Mm-hmm.
getting it back together. But if they are willing, and you could take it slow, you can't make demands. You have to say, this is what I'd like. How can we compromise and work on a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this? And gradually you work back and think about what it was like when you met and fell in love.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what you said earlier. I call it the honeymoon phase. When
Mm-hmm.
that first 3 to 12 months for some people, but
Right.
after that, you're not in crazy love like you were when you
Right. All right, guys,
first
we're gonna
met.
go through.
But now you're in the other person. You
Yeah.
you love the other person and you want to do things for them and you want to be with them, but you have to create that every day. You have to take the time to do it. And it might mean giving up a little bit of your hobby, and it might mean not working 12 hours 6 days a week and spending some time with your family. And if your job doesn't let you do that, you maybe need to take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvann.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and I let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you would come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
All right, welcome back. Now let's take on a fun subject.
You know, I just love Debbie with the witches and bitches. It's so cool.
It is. It's very cool. I love her motto, and she really takes on a lot of neurodivergent stuff and breaking things down, basically, and breaking them down and teaching things and working through problems like we're talking tonight. And what I wondered, and I'm flipping through because I couldn't remember. I remember the section about after 50. But let's start talking about after 50, when those knees aren't as good as they used to be on wood floors, and that back just cricks and pops, and maybe someone's got a cane. Because I've met 98-year-old couples that are still very involved in each other. They may not move the best during the day, but after 10 o'clock, you don't need to go in the room.
That's true. Well, I'm 87 myself, so I think so. I missed something. You wanted to talk about
sex after 50.
I'm
sex
sorry.
After 50.
Sex after. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. There's in our hormone book, so that's why they do that. We talk a lot about that and about how hormone levels change for men and women. Now, obviously, when women go through menopause, it's very dramatic. I mean, for most women, not some women just skate right
Mhm.
through it, but most women go through the sweats and the sleeplessness and the weight gain and the
Mhm.
bloating and the all kinds of, God bless them. And my wife really was able to circumvent most of that. She's, let's see, I'm 87, she's 78. And she said
Mhm.
that when she started with premenopause, she
Mhm.
started in with hormone therapy almost right away. And she
Mhm.
said, not the Premarin, not that horse urine stuff, but the natural bioidentical hormones. And she's
Mhm.
been doing that ever since. And it's really helped our love life. And of course, me being 87, taking
Mhm.
testosterone about 7 years ago, I think. And
Mhm.
man, what a difference it made in my life. My doctor said, don't take those patches and don't take the through oral. He said, you get a little vial and get yourself a syringe and get your wife to shoot it in your butt. And I get about a half a cc every 2 weeks. And
Mhm.
I'm stronger. I feel fitter.
Mhm.
The prostate cancer that I had is gone. And,
Mhm.
so hormone replacement is something you might want to take a look at,
Right.
and guys will go to a doctor and I just had a friend of mine who's in his mid 50s and the doctor says, well, you're on the low side of normal. Well, we don't want to be on the low side of normal. We want to be on the high side of normal where we can feel strong and powerful
Mhm.
and masculine. So
Right.
I get the shot and I'm on the actually that puts me up to the middle of where my hormone should be. And I can
Mhm.
feel it at the end of the 2 week period, I'm ready to get another shot. And
Right.
so and that's helped with my erections as well. But what helps with my erections more than anything else is the connection I feel with my partner.
Right.
Because there was a study in Sweden, and we talk about oxytocin before the bonding hormone. Well, when
Mhm.
we get that connection, we generate that oxytocin. Some of it comes from the gut, some of it comes out of the brain, and it goes down the spinal cord and comes
Right.
out in the pelvic nerves. There's like 9 nerves in the
Right.
pelvis, and that has really I was amazed when when I was in my 70s. I went, how am I doing this? And it was the
Right.
oxytocin from the connection, and
Right.
I still feel that to this day. So
Mhm.
the thing one of the most important things is that people after 50 or 60 say, I have no desire for sex, and that's normal.
Right.
Most people at that age do not have a desire for sex. I oftentimes do not have a desire for sex. So my suggestion there is suit up and show up. Get
Right.
in the bedroom and take your clothes off. Don't suit up, unsuit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you get in the bedroom and take your clothes off and do the kind of thing we talked about in pre-play and
Mhm.
do the things that are going to develop the connection and then start the process of going through pre-play and starting in foreplay. And I got to tell you, the desire will come. And
Mhm.
the arousal leads to the desire. You don't get the desire until you get the arousal. So, like I say, and women have said this too, even if they didn't feel anything like having sex, once they started, they went, oh God, this is fun. I'm feeling good. Let's do
Right.
it. And they have a wonderful experience.
Right. And that's an important part there too. Is sometimes you have to schedule it. Yes, it takes the spontaneity out of it.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that.
But having a schedule that says we're spending time during these hours, and I'm talking hours because it should not be like 10 minutes. Sorry, man, hate to burst your bubble. 10 minutes it ain't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
that's not, yeah, that may be the physical act. That's cute. But it takes 3 to 4 hours, if not days, to get all the way through rebuilding that energetical, emotional, passionate connection.
absolutely. You're so right on. And we do, obviously I said we do it every Sunday. And
Hmm.
there may be some spontaneous connections in the midweek,
Hmm.
but we know it's it's the rule in our relationship that we
Hmm.
spend 2 to 3 hours, just as you suggested.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean we're going at it like porn stars. It means that we're in the room mostly naked, talking to each other and being with each other. Maybe we're talking about a movie, or maybe we're just laying there stroking each other. Mostly me stroking her. I just love
Mhm.
touching her body. And honestly, just touching her body gives me an erection. So,
Right.
if you, like I said, you don't suit up because you unsuit, but if you take your clothes off,
Well, no,
get in-
let's discuss this.
okay,
Sorry, I am a very big advocate for over 50. You still need to suit up, men, especially in the senior population, being it is the highest level of STDs now currently growing. Take some time there.
oh, absolutely. I wasn't thinking along that line, and it's
Yeah,
really a good point that you brought up.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, we're not seeing anybody else, obviously. A
obviously.
couple octogenarians here, but we are. So we don't
Mhm.
use condoms or protected
Right,
sex because we're only protecting each other. And
right. And you've had all that testing and all that.
oh
But,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
for almost 20
sorry,
years
there's a
together.
lot
So
of still dating 50, 60, 70 years out there that,
yep,
got programmed back in the 50s and 60s that, oh, you just need condoms if you don't want to have a baby. Sorry, that's not how that works. That's not how that even grows
that's right.
That's how grandma ends up on, HIV medicine at 89 and, hides it from her children because, she went to and met George, who met Susan, who met, passed it around.
Yep, yep. That's a really important point. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that suiting up the protection is really worthwhile,
Hmm.
and and so the idea really for senior or 50 plus sex
Hmm.
is to make yourself available. As you say, I think calendar sex is so important.
Hmm.
And make yourself available and give yourself 2 to 3 hours
Hmm.
minimum 2 hours, just to be with each other, if nothing else, with your
Right.
clothes on. And I talk to a lot of podcast hosts like you, and guys say, "Oh God, I don't feel that good about my body." Well, guess what? She probably doesn't feel that good about her body either. And I look
Hmm.
down at it and I go, where do these wrinkles come from? It comes
Hmm.
from being old is where it comes from. So you got to go with that, and
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter. Once I reach out and touch her, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter how many wrinkles she has, because
Right.
that skin on skin contact with that
Hmm.
sexual energy flowing in it
Right.
just is fantastic.
And it just as erotic as your first time there. And that's because you've built that emotional bond, that emotional connection. You're getting that oxytocin, the limbic brain system. And then realizing sometimes you need props.
Well,
Dude, get some knee pads.
yeah, I love that. It's true, and I say suit up or unsuit. But
Hmm.
if you have costumes, and if you guys are
Hmm.
into that, then by all means, if you have bondage paraphernalia or fetish paraphernalia, by all means, use that. And I have some little things I like to use, little ball stretchers and some
Hmm.
kind of, those kind of things, because it heightens the sensations in my
Hmm.
genitals. And
Right.
anything that makes you feel better or
Hmm.
enhances your experience, as long as it doesn't hurt you, then fine. If as long, I'm not into chemical
Right.
enhancement, but well, that's not true. If a guy is having erection problems and can use Viagra or Cialis or
Hmm.
whatever the other one is, then
Right.
use it, for God's sake. Don't be sweating it, because if you're not using it and the other stuff, if the meds work for you, then that
You
takes
go.
a lot of pressure off of you, and
Right.
you can devote that distraction into
Hmm.
giving her more pleasure. And
Right.
and and I tell guys, no, it doesn't matter what you do, but the important thing is to find out what makes her orgasm and make that happen before you do anything else. I
Right.
mean, it takes pre-play, it takes foreplay, and the
Hmm.
first thing in the play is her orgasm. And another important thing that that's come to fore more and more, I don't know, but I think it always bears repeating, that somewhere between 50 and 80% of women do not orgasm in intercourse. Most women need clitoral stimulation in order to have an orgasm.
Mhm.
And many women, once they have a clitoral orgasm, may have a vaginal orgasm or a G-spot orgasm afterwards, but most likely will need a clitoral orgasm first.
Mhm.
Those are the
Right.
stats I read over and over. 50%, 50 to 80% of women require
Mhm.
clitoral stimulation to have an orgasm. So before you do anything else, guys, make sure, and if you're thinking that you're going to get her off with intercourse, you're probably making a mistake, and she
Right.
probably doesn't have the courage to tell you
Or
that.
doesn't think so. Because you got to remember, if we're dealing with that after 50 generation, we still got that stupid thing that women just have sex for men going through their damn heads. You
Yeah.
know, that bad programming that they had out there. Now, your book also talks about another subject that I think is highly important and people don't invest enough research of their own in lubrication.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've been using lubrication to masturbate with from almost the get-go because I'm circumcised and it's high and tight. So
Mm-hmm.
I need, I don't have enough foreskin to pull over the head of my penis to smooth things out. So I'm I always use lubrication. And
Right.
for women, any woman over 50, especially postmenopausal women,
Mm-hmm.
will have the thinning of her walls in her vagina.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in there without lubrication, you're probably going to do microscopic tears in the walls of her vagina, which in turn will let bacteria inside there and cause infections.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no doubt. Don't even think about asking. Just be sure to use it. And you can go online and find, there are a lot of choices on lubricants out there, but some of them are actually toxic. So
Yeah. Make sure to do your
you want to be
research.
careful about what you get and what works
Right.
for her.
And what works for the both of you.
And in
But
fact,
probably
you might ask her.
recommend too.
You might even ask her, "Do you have lube? And what do you, and if you become a regular thing, find out what she likes and use that."
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was something. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. In part of my research, I found a study that they did of long-term relationship couples, mostly married, and they
Mm-hmm.
asked the men and women separately. They asked the men if their wives thought they were good lovers. 85% of the guys said that their wife thought they were good to great lover. When they asked the women if they thought their men were good lovers, only 15% of the women agreed with the men. So
Mm-hmm.
that tells us two things. One, women aren't telling the guys the truth, and guys don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And they got that, the ignorance and apathy. I don't know and I don't care.
Right. And that, well, she doesn't complain, so it must be good.
Yeah.
But taking that time to go in and men, do your research. Buy little bottles. Don't go in there and buy those 50-gallon tanks of lube. Buy little bottles so you find what works for not only you, but her. Because it may slipper you up and it does great. And she's going, I don't feel none of this shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you're right. Yeah, it has to work for her. I have
Right.
a lube that I use to masturbate with that doesn't work for Judith, and
Yeah.
so I can have both on hand.
Mm-hmm. And shampoo is not lube. Conditioner is not lube.
Uh,
Hand lotion is not lube.
Now, spit will get you started for most
Mm-hmm.
people. It's a good way to get started, but you can't keep going that because it will eventually wear out. So
Right.
mostly water soluble lubes are
Mm-hmm.
usually the best. So
Mostly water soluble lubes, mostly lube, and if she has toys or you have bought toys, make sure you get the right type for the toys. I don't know how many people I've had to explain this to. And
Yeah, that's
post
true.
play is much more important, I think, than playtime.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Post play is more important than playtime.
Oh yeah, yeah. The afterplay
Hmm.
is really, and you talked about BDSM.
Right.
What do they call it?
Aftercare.
Aftercare, of course, and
Yeah.
that's when you snuggle and hold the submissive and make
Hmm.
sure that that they don't crash out of subspace if they
Right.
were able to achieve subspace, and then they
Hmm.
call I think they call it sub drop, and
Right.
if
And then you check in the next day,
right, right,
especially if it's new for you two. Check in with the next day, see how things are, see where they are, see, so how you feeling today? Did I break your back? Do you need a massage on some areas? Like, you were really arching heavy last night.
yeah,
Those types of things. I mean, if it's not pleasurable for everybody, then you got to figure out what is, because I was really astounded. And when I say astounded, it really shocked me that like 17% of married couples are in sexless marriages.
yes, yes, it's scary, isn't it?
It's scary.
Yeah, yeah. It's the glue, it's what makes life worth living to me. I
Right.
told Judy, my wife, I said, if we stop enjoying our love life, close the lid.
Hmm.
I'm done. I
Right.
don't want to be here if I can't have that with you. And
Right.
so, yeah, it's really a shame, and it doesn't have to be that way. And
Right.
if you have a partner that won't give you sex, then you better take a look around and see where else you might want to go.
Right. And it might be, really questioning why they don't want that level of intimacy with you, because that gets you into trust issues.
Absolutely, and it takes and I really recommend that you do this with somebody that's knowledgeable, because
Hmm.
it's you kind of need a referee, so to speak,
Right.
and and you need to be able to communicate and be heard, and we do that a lot, because we fight like every couple does, and
Hmm.
and we have a process we call focused listening, and
Right.
so whoever has the biggest upset
Hmm.
will request a focused listening. And we sit
Hmm.
down and we got those little kitchen timers, and we start the timer, and you get 15 minutes, and you can say one sentence at a time what your grievance is, and they have to repeat that sentence back to make sure that they understand what you're communicating. Then you say the next sentence, and they do that and until you feel really heard. And then when your
Hmm.
15 minutes is up, then there's no rebuttal going on in this. It's
Right.
all one way. And then you get your 15 minutes to rebut.
Hmm.
It's, so, so
And
there's all,
that's a common technique. And while I got you here, and I know you do, sex counseling, that type of thing. Are you familiar with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Are you familiar with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial?
No.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
anyway,
yes. Oh, took me a while. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. She was, the internet made a big deal out of her yelling at Johnny I've asked for couch 3 times now. Do you think that was her trying to get that focused listening going on? Because we know that they were in relationship therapy.
Yeah. Could have been. She's
Yeah.
trying to get him to the couch.
Right. To
Yeah.
listen, to hear things out.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're in that type of relationship, get the hell out. Like, any sane person knows that.
Yeah.
But, communication is important. I love that, focus 15 minutes thing. Now, something I often do, and, my co-host is actually my partner. He really doesn't like it when I do this. So what did you just hear?
What did I just hear?
That's what I do to him when we're having one of those deep discussions or I'm just going off. So what did you just hear?
Exactly. Yeah. What did
Yeah.
I just say? What did you understand what I just said? Can you feed it back to me?
Right. So
And
I
I
like
use it. Yeah, you got to get them to feed it back to you, because once they feed it back to you, they got it.
right.
But they can't just say, okay, no, that's not good enough.
No.
But here's another thing about that focused listening, though. You can't do it while the other person is mad or angry. And there's a thing, in our hormone book, we talk, how guys get enraged, and we do. When somebody says something that triggers us, we get upset.
Mm-hmm.
And then that triggers a shot of emotion, which goes up to our brain. And
Mm-hmm.
when that hits our brain, it triggers another shot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then it triggers another shot of emotion. And that
Mm-hmm.
triggers more testosterone. And by the third time around, we're enraged. And
Right.
we're no longer in present time.
Right.
We're off in some enraged idiocy. And there's
Right.
nothing that you can do. And if your partner is enraged, get away.
Right.
Just say, honey, I love you and I want to talk about this, but we need a timeout.
Yeah,
And-
I'm going for a drive. The
Yeah.
other thing with that, is that it can get really dangerous at this point, is if you do that makeup sex cycle, then it trains that limbic brain to have that fight to get to
Yep.
that point.
Yep.
Bad habits to start.
Yeah. So just stop that and just schedule sex.
Mm-hmm.
Get it on the
Until
calendar.
you get onto a normality
Yeah.
and you get out of that fighting stage.
Right. And you can find things to do when you schedule the sex, you calendar it, you can find things to do, bring ideas along with you and maybe some
Mhm.
toys and say, I want to do this and I've got this paddle and I'm going to spank your ass and then we can have great sex. But
Right.
you do it from a play, but you never do BDSM if you're fighting. That's
No,
bad,
Never.
bad thing. Yeah.
very bad. And you never use it to manipulate. Like, example, you don't bring up that they like XYZ in an argument.
That's right.
That's not arguable territory.
That's a low ball. And
Yeah.
you can't do that. So.
No, not at all. Well, darling, thank you for coming on. Now, go ahead and spell out your website, because, of course, we have a lot of non-English speaking listeners. So
Okay.
it may be a little complicated for them.
Well, it's Top Gun Love, TOPGUNLOVE, all one word, .com.
And you can get the book there. It's also on Amazon. It is a bestseller. And you can get the other book, Why the Hell They Do the Things They Do, which is wrote with your wife.
It's great.
Yeah. All right, darling. Will you come on back when you get your novel done, okay?
Oh, yeah. I love talking with you. This is great. You're a great host.
Glad to have you on, bud. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month, in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service, or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvan.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson Knight and some of the best psychics in West Virginia to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The Psychic That Plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at PCSBnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site, great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. All right. Hello, Joe Darling. How are you?
Oh, doing well. How about you?
Doing well, doing well. So, we had some awful news today about Angela,
Angela Lansbury, yeah.
Sorry,
Past
I
at
was
90.
about to say Jessica.
Oh, Jessica Fletcher. 12 years doing that one. Well, 12 seasons.
Yeah.
Probably a little more than 12 years, but 12 seasons.
Yeah.
That kind of is the iconic role. I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time someone walked up to her and went, Jessica Fletcher, Jessica Fletcher.
Mm-hmm. Who died this time? Who died this time?
Mm-hmm. I guess she finally did it.
Guess she decided
Too soon.
Yeah, I know. But, we were talking about, there ain't that many stars left for us to meet. Someone better be wrapping Dolly Parton into bubble wrap.
Yeah. It's a good time to put Dolly Parton in bubble wrap. Maybe do the same for, like Kathy Bates and Meryl Streep.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's
Raquel
one of those
Welch.
moments. Raquel Welch? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Raquel Welch is still with us. Like, I don't think she's done anything.
That's the right name.
No.
Dynasty.
I don't know.
Slap heard around the world.
Oh, let's see. Raquel Welch. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's... No, wait. I'm confused. Oh, I'm trying to remember.
No, sorry, Joan Collins.
Joan Collins.
Yes.
That's a very different actress.
I know.
I'm sitting here like Raquel Welch.
Yep.
I don't know. Well, then again, Joan Collins, more recognizable name, like yay for that. But I don't know, has she been? She's still working.
Living. She was just having dinner the other night. Out and about with her new book.
Oh, cool.
Yes, I do follow some people on Facebook other than myself.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I wasn't. I've never been a huge Joan Collins fan. She, don't get me wrong. It's not that I think she's a bad actress. I just don't particularly like the characters that she's played. I get why people like her. Don't get me wrong. I think she's a good actress. It's just I never really identified with any character she's played.
See,
it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't hit. And that's fine. Some actresses and actors don't. Like, they're great for other people, but then for you, they're just like, yeah, it doesn't really.
Yeah. See, I really, Joan Collins, Erica Kane, Raquel Welch. Oh God, what is her name? Died because of her plastic surgery and gave her too much anesthesia. Makes Aeson happy, blonde haired. Well, died blonde, or known for her plastic makeup and
Mae
her
West?
Huh? No. Comedy.
Rivers.
Joan. Yes, Joan Rivers. Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn.
And Loretta Lynn just passed last week.
I mean, those are like my formidable acting people.
Yeah. See, and I don't necessarily like Joan Rivers. I don't know. She never hit me the right way either.
Yeah,
she's another one. She's just like I don't get excited for Joan Rivers or Joan Collins. Let's see. Let's go back through your list real fast. Like Raquel Welch, like again, understand why she's popular and everything, but I don't know. Her roles never hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think some of that is like the actress choosing the roles that they will play, and then the roles just don't resonate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? See, now strong, aggressive, feminine energy, like you'd think I would love them because I'm a big Betty Davis fan. Like I will fucking watch Betty Davis smack the shit out of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Or go completely demented or whatever she has to do. I have a little bit of appreciation for Joan Crawford, but I do think her acting was limited.
Well,
but I think it has
what the studio system would give her.
Right. That's the bigger problem.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a divide in Hollywood between the roles that actresses were forced into that didn't always fit, and then the roles that actresses got to play that were perfect for them.
Right.
Versus the more modern, the post lawsuit, where it became more about actor-actress choice in what roles they played.
Right.
And then some actors went with roles that I'm like, yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm not interested in that.
Right.
Like people will love Clint Eastwood till he dies. I'm just sitting here going, I'm not a Western boy. There's not much that Clint Eastwood has done that I've been like, yeah, no. I'm just sitting here going,
Robert Redford, though, I could take him in a Western or two.
No. Well, the Western dynamic just never worked mentally for me. Like the closest I get to that is a John Waters film, and that's Lust in the Dust, and that's just because it's a hellaciously funny comedy. Like that's as close to me watching a Western and enjoying it that you'll ever get me, and it's not because it's a Western.
Right.
Like it's a totally different genre there. It's more Western parody.
Right. But
no, like there's a fair number of actors and actresses that I get why they're popular. They are good at what they do. They're not bad actors or actresses. It's just the roles they ended up in. Olivia de Havilland, again, great actress. She does really well in all of her roles, but I don't always identify with her characters. The closest I got to that was in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. But the rest of her characters, she kind of got pigeonholed in this weird space.
Yeah,
it's kind of which technically is what she got pigeonholed as in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. It's just you get to see the darker side. And so, okay, cool.
Well, it's like Joan Rivers, all of her work ethic. Like, her comedy was good, but her work ethic was fucking amazing. I mean, her husband committed suicide, and she was on stage in 3 days later.
But then I turn around, it's like I love B. Arthur. I love the hell out of some Betty White. Like,
Right.
Talk about a woman who could twist a sentence. I think I like her more in her non-acting roles, like where she was just a personality.
Right.
Like all of her appearances on Password, and you just sit there and you go, I cannot believe that got through censors.
Right.
Like, ooh, Betty White.
Right.
Like that was,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brenda says, LOL, we just watched that a few weeks ago, introduced a friend to Lust in the Dust. That's a hilarious damn movie, but it is close as you'll get me to saying, I like a Western.
Right.
Like, no, my dad used to watch those every damn Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think I have Western trauma is what it really is. He used to sit there and watch one Western after another during prime cartoon time.
Right.
And it just, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, it's like,
True.
fine, whatever. Like, ugh.
Right. But no, Erica Kane, Susan Lucci, she's the only Christmas movie I actually enjoy watching, which is Mrs. Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
Love her as an actress.
Susan Lucci does good roles.
She does great roles. I wish she'd do more.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say that for all the flack she gets, Courtney Cox is actually a pretty decent actress.
Decent, yeah.
Yeah, like as in I identify more with her roles, less with her. I don't know. There's always something off with her.
Right.
It's like she's not a perfect fit anywhere. I don't think she's ever found the perfect like lifetime role.
Right.
That's just like that she was born to play.
Right.
But then again, I don't think every actress can have that kind of talent level of like a Bette Davis who just like immersed herself into a role and she became the character, like that's a Kathy Bates kind of quality.
Exactly.
That's a Jessica Tandy quality. That's that is definitively a getting back to the original, topic starter. That's an Angela Lansbury quality.
True. And Angela Lansbury always brought class into it. What I loved is when she played Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, she actually studied witchcraft.
Yep. But then that's not always true, though. It's not always true. Like, she brought a lot of class to a lot of roles, but if you go watch Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which has Angela Lansbury in it, you'll be surprised to know.
Right, but she'd done her research.
She plays that role flawlessly.
So do you have an ammo the asshole?
Yes. Well, no, I don't. We'll take your random choice.
Awesome. Well, go ahead and do the relationship advice one while I find you. Are you an asshole?
All right. Am I too demanding, or does my husband just doesn't understand me? My husband and I have been together for 6 years now. We got married only 6 months ago. Since the start of our relationship, I've been torn, but because if this question I am asking. My husband is a good human being. He is smart, caring, and humble, but I feel that he just doesn't get me. I think that my love language is receiving gifts, and I also love spending quality time together. When I say receiving gifts, I mean I would love it if my husband could get me a box of chocolates sometime out of the blue or surprise me with a bunch of flowers. I do not really expect some expensive things that he cannot afford, but nonetheless, even after conveying this to him, he still doesn't do it for me. This is how I feel special, and he doesn't want to love me in a way I want to be loved. He also rarely ever plans date nights. I take the initiative most of the time. He does sometimes spend quality time with me, but it's almost always at our home, and I would love it if we could get away sometime. His mom also lives with us, so it's not exactly just the two of us. His love language, on the other hand, is definitely physical touch. He doesn't express himself much through words. He only knows how to express himself with his body, and I have been very encouraging for that too. I've been giving him whatever he needs, even if sometimes I don't particularly feel like it. He doesn't force me or anything. I just do it to make him happy. Now when I convey about all this to him, he just tells me that I complain all the time and make him feel like he does nothing for me. We have had numerous fights over this, and it never reached a conclusion. So I just need to know, am I demanding too much, or does he not understand me at all?
What's your thoughts?
Feels like a communications breakdown. I think it's unfortunate that you've known this for 5.5 years and you continued all the way up to getting married, and now you want to fix it. Hint, hint for anyone else out there reading that has this problem, fix it before or don't get married. I don't, and I'm not saying it's unfixable, it's fixable.
It is.
I just don't think that the level of understanding is happening.
Right.
I don't think you're asking too much. It may be something that I don't know. It's like you might have to sit there and consider, why is he not doing these things as well?
Right.
Like, is it he doesn't know?
Right.
Like, is he afraid of getting you the wrong chocolates or the wrong flowers? Like, has he tried and you've been critical of it? Or is it just flat out he doesn't want to? This doesn't work for him. It doesn't make sense to him. This just isn't something he's capable of.
Right. Or is
as stupid as that sounds, because you're talking like $10 on flowers, 20 on $30 on flowers. I'm assuming $10 on chocolates, because it sounds like she's at like, just give me a sign.
Right.
Give me a sign. Like, go to the grocery store. Pick up flowers out of the refrigerated case. I will be happy.
Well, see, the other part of there is, when's he going to the grocery store? Is he doing the shopping? How convenient is this for him? And, are you wanting a box of chocolates? Which box of chocolates? Have you trained him to your type of chocolates? Have you handed him your florist's number? I'm sorry, everything is not up to the man to figure out. But on the other side of this, you're talking love languages. What's his? You clearly state yours. You're not stating his.
Yes, she did. Touch. Physical touch.
His is touch.
Yeah. Yeah, she spelled that out. His is physical touch. He gets really upset when he doesn't get that.
Right.
So she's doing a lot of that. But then he's hearing her request as like, you're complaining again.
Right.
That's why I'm sitting here going, like, do you have realistic expectations here? Like, does he leave for work at like midnight, work all night, and then sleep during the day?
Right.
And it's like, literally, how do you want him to do this?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's like, there's some situations that one could be in that it's like, that's not really clearly doable most of the time.
Right.
So, unless you like, I don't know, maybe she's at Gas Station Roses and like, that little tiny, I'm sorry I fucked up and, screwed your sister box of chocolates and a teddy bear. What? I'm talking about just like the stupid things they have at gas stations that are just like the only people who buy them.
Right, but the other side of that, and what I'm looking at here, she said his love language is clearly physical touch. That doesn't sound like that he took the test.
No.
Sounds like she took the test for him.
Yeah. Well, and moreover, if what he's hearing is all complaints,
right,
it would make sense, I would think, that like he's kind of leaning towards a physical,
right,
not an emotional, like verbal. Like, he's not all about the feelings; he's all about the sensation.
Well, but his may be acts of kindness. His may be others, and she's just grouping it in because he's doing what's good for the man, what she thinks is good, what he wants.
True.
So,
Or he may
or
just
you
be
can't base everything in your relationship off a book. That it makes a lovely coffee stand. It holds your coffee cup pretty well.
Yeah. So I'm not the only one that thinks this whole love language thing gets a little overplayed.
No, I think it gets overplayed a good bit.
Okay. Because I'm just sitting here and I'm going, that's not unimportant. I think it's important, but I think it's also one of those things that, like, to me, a lot of the love language stuff just sounds like you're feeding quarters into a gumball machine, hoping for a prize.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but there's more to it than that.
Exactly.
Like, stop feeding quarters into the gumball machine and then getting pissed off that the quarters you feed in aren't getting you, like, a diamond ring.
Exactly.
Like,
But the other side of that, and this is my thoughts on love languages, and we've done that, and I'm supposed to be a gold digger by the love language scenario.
Okay.
And you're supposed to want a little slave boy.
What?
Yours is acts of service. Supposedly mine is gifts.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't like. Oh God, I do not want a slave boy at all whatsoever. No, but I do have severe appreciation for, like, things get done and I didn't have to say a word.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do have a severe appreciation for that, especially if it's something like, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I am not looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a thing I enjoy doing at all whatsoever. It's a crappy job, but someone's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, knock one of those off my list, and it's like, oh.
Uh-huh.
Like, that is a back massage worth of, like, oh, I don't have to mop the fucking bathroom. Like, like, I will scrub toilets all day long and have no problem with it.
Right.
Like, I'm not kidding. I will scrub a toilet. I don't care how nasty it is. I will scrub a toilet.
Right.
I hate mopping a bathroom floor.
Right. And see, the other problem here is the mother is there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
There is a large problem when there are multi people in your home and you are not taking time for you and your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Or partners. One at a time, together, separately. You can divide all that up into the triangles and bisects that you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that can be a lot, especially if it's his mother, I believe she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That can be creating some issues within that relationship as well.
Well, yep.
So yeah, Brendan points out, how is she presenting to him what she wants? Is it bitching? Is it talking?
Or has it gotten to the point that it is just both? Because he can't tell anymore.
Yeah. Well, and here's the interesting thing. I one of the groups I'm in randomly on Facebook, well, not so randomly, I chose to join, but anyway, someone had posted earlier today about low blows in an argument.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, everyone glommed onto that one and was like, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, toxic behavior, toxic behavior, toxic behavior. And I'm going, pump the brakes.
Right.
Okay, how, because, and this goes back to Brenda's point, is when is this occurring?
All right.
Like, if you're sitting here like, I cannot believe, like, if this is your argument, I can't believe you went and bought a game system knowing that I needed that money to pay the rent. And you get the low blow, like, yeah, and you're a stupid whore. Like, whatever. That's a red flag.
Right.
Because you presented a problem. It wasn't it wasn't an attack. It wasn't your, but then there's another argument you could be having that you may not have caught, which is, I cannot believe you were so stupid as to go spend the money on a game system that I needed for rent. I guess you'll enjoy that when we're living in the car. You can't do anything right.
Right.
Okay, pause. That's provocation. That's you started that. They sound like the same argument.
Right.
They're very different arguments. You attacked a person,
right,
not the problem. Like, you called him stupid. You called him, you created this whole situation where you're living in the car and you blamed it all on him. And then you've gone one step further
and
told them you can't do anything right.
Exactly.
Which inspires guilt, shame, everything else.
Right.
Boom. You're going to get low blows at that point.
Right.
Like, I don't know many people that aren't going to feel cornered and horribly, horribly attacked. And yeah, they're going to start throwing everything in the kitchen sink.
Right.
So yeah, you're going to start getting all your worst qualities.
And furthermore, if she wants chocolate, let me give her a tip. This is real easy. Honey, I need some dark Godiva chocolate. You can get that at the only $1, or I would like some 86% dark chocolate from Kirkers. You pick that up on the way home.
Yep.
If your man is not getting the clue, tell him what you need.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and then there's also sometimes you just have to take what you get. And here's what I'm saying is, please be careful if you are like you need things.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just got to give people credit for trying. Like, you may be, it may be chocolate you don't particularly love. It might be flowers you're allergic to. It might be the ugliest, cheapest, dumbest looking bunch of flowers anyone's ever seen. It may say, like, sorry about your surgery. Just, like, take what you get.
Right.
And count it.
Right.
And give the positive reinforcement, and then hope.
Right.
That having seen that.
Right.
And then there's also the question of how sure are you that is your language?
Yes.
Like, or is that just, you know what I mean? Because here's the other fear I'd have with someone, because she's like, this is really written.
Right.
Have you decided this is a problem in your relationship because you just read the book?
Right.
Or just saw the YouTube? And this is like, the umpteenth millionth thing that, like, you've expressed.
Right.
That you don't like about your relationship, that, oh, by the way.
Right.
Like, be careful with that too, because there's literally only so much one can take.
Right.
Of being told, you suck at this, you suck in bed, you suck at this, you suck at that, you're horrible at this, I don't feel loved, I don't feel appreciated. Like, whoa, calm down. Like, pump the brakes. Like, work on it in stages. Work on it in pieces.
Right.
Rome not built in a day. You've had an ongoing 5.5 year relationship problem. 6 years now. You've been married for 6 months. And now you're trying to backfill and fix all the problems you knew you had.
And that's because the married title went on there. All right. So let's move on to, are you an asshole?
All right, let me get that brought up. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for cupcakes at my daughter's party? Oh, my sister offered to make cupcakes for my daughter's upcoming 3rd birthday party. I never asked, and she out of the blue offered. Nothing more. The day of my daughter's party, my sister pulled me aside saying it would be $60 for the 2 dozen cupcakes. I was floored, and I thought she meant it as a gift. I told my sister that she gave me and she gave me a sob story about how she's hard up for money. This cast a shadow over the whole party, and my sister took all of the cupcakes and left, so we just had ice cream. My daughter's 3, so it's not like she'd notice. My sister did the random TikTok post to No Scrubs and captioned, "The poor are at it again." And she told everyone I refused to pay her. She threw all of the cupcakes into the trash. She gave out her Cash App. Now I feel like she set the whole thing up for likes. It's disgusting behavior from a grown woman, and I told my mom about it, and she just dismissed me, saying my sister is in a hard place right now. Meanwhile, thousands of people are on her TikTok commenting on how poor I am and how I'm a moocher. I don't know how even to respond because I didn't realize my sister was going to charge me for the cupcakes in the first place. I don't think... Okay, one-sided, I cannot call you the asshole for that one. Like, that's
Not the
a
asshole.
misunderstanding that spiraled out of control.
Well, see, and here's my problem for that. There's multiple problems here. One, your sister-in-law is the asshole for charging you for cupcakes. Two, your sister-in-law is the problem for, I don't know, using it for content.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on there. Like, one, okay, so she, like, does she run a business? Like, I'm trying to figure out how in the world, like, here's where I'm at, is if my sister randomly offers to make cupcakes for an event, I'm going to kind of assume that she just meant that as a gift.
Right.
I think most people would. Now, that has a lot to do with my sister doesn't run a cupcake business. Neither of my sisters run a cupcake business.
Right.
Now, if they ran a cupcake business, I might have a moment there where it's like, you know, yes, I want you to make cupcakes. Please send me an invoice.
Right.
Like, I don't want you doing this for free. You run a legitimate service.
Right.
I don't know why that's different in my head. I figure we'd go back and forth on it. I'd probably never get an invoice. We'd still go back and forth on it. And, like, it would be one of those things.
Right.
But I would also think that if either of my sisters were at a point in which they truly needed money,
right,
they're not gonna make that offer.
Right.
Expecting money. If they're not running a cupcake business.
Right.
I don't think they're gonna make that offer to go and 2 dozen cupcakes, $60.
Yeah, I'm doing the math here, and the math don't add up.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry. I know they're higher quality than grocery store cupcakes. I would hope.
We're assuming.
Yeah, we're assuming. Like, I'm going best case scenario. This is like the awesomest cupcake anyone has ever seen. Like, she went all out. She busted ass. These are amazing cupcakes.
Right.
I'm still going 60 seems a little steep.
Right. Well, I'm thinking even, custom made cupcakes is there.
Yeah. I would think those would, like, wedding cupcakes, I'm sure would cost that much, but,
Terry, yeah,
wedding.
Of course you can ask the question. Just remember your birthday.
So, yeah, but no, I mean, and then I would think that even if this was a misunderstanding, like, I would feel like either one of my sisters would understand there was a misunderstanding.
Right.
I also think I would probably be like, oh my God, let me figure out, I'll get you the money.
Right.
Like, I mean, either one of my sisters, here's your $60.
Right.
Like, I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it.
Right.
I'll figure it out.
Right.
Like, before you leave today, you will have $60 in your hand. Do not worry about it.
Right. But, let me see. Grab our mystical calculator here. 60 divided by 24.
Yeah. I mean, they would have to be pretty spectacular cupcakes, I think.
That's $2.50 a cupcake. That's, for a 3-year-old party.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a big fan of under the age of 8. It doesn't really matter. Like, save some money. Like, they will happily play with a box. Okay. Like, and I mean that seriously. They will happily play with a box.
Furthermore, she's 3 years old. She didn't even notice she didn't have cupcakes because she had ice cream. So, are you an asshole? No, you are not an asshole. Is your sister a twisted fool that needs to have her ass stitched and tagged in videos? And feel free to tag her in this one below. Yes.
Yeah, please. Go for it. Because, no, this is...
Terry, we need a birth date, honey.
Yep, get that birth date to us. We will get your question answered. Oh... That is a horrible "Am I the Asshole?" Like, that sounds like Drama City. Like, I felt like there was so much extra with that relationship.
No, but it brings up a good point here.
Yeah.
people doing shit for content.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I'm not opposed to doing shit for content, like if it's all, kept like kind,
Right.
or that everyone involved understands and is like acceptable to this. Like,
Right.
you prank me, I prank you, back and forth, that's fine.
Right.
But this is just downright cruel.
Right.
Like, it doesn't sound like the OP has a TikTok.
No.
That they are, out there doing stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no exchange there. It's not like she would normally just come back and be like, ha ha, I'm such a bitch. Ha ha. And it's a running gag.
Right.
This is like, no, you just called your sister out on TikTok.
Right.
As, a mooching lech.
Right.
Without giving the whole story.
Yeah.
And posted your Cash App. I think that's where it turned. Like, really, turned.
Right.
And I'm going, this sounds like, y'all have a bad relationship to, yeah, I'm kind of with her. I think she did this for views and money.
Right. She done it for views, or she would not have put out her Cash App on the TikTok.
Yeah. Well, of course, then again, we only have the OP's view. Maybe this all started one way, and then it was like, oh my God, can you give us your Cash App so that I can, or maybe it's just on the profile. Maybe it's just part of all of her videos.
Right.
I don't know. I'm saying though, but if she intentionally was like, here's my video, middle of the video, here's my Cash App.
Right.
From the beginning. Yeah, no, that's bullshit.
Right. Yeah. She gave out her Cash App. So
yeah.
She was looking for something. Come on, Terry. Give me your birthday so I can get the question done.
Birthday.
So we're in spooky season. I am doing the 30-30 special in spooky with the keyword of spooky. Yeah, it means you get a 30-minute appointment for $30. It's my cheapest appointment. And you have to use the coupon code spooky. You can do that at my website, aesonknight.com. So another of our hosts are doing the spooky sale. So be sure to do that. All right, we do have a birthday.
Awesome. So Terry, December 12th, 1990. Do you see a man coming my way soon for love?
Let me take a look here.
I like how you asked that very specifically. Like, because do you see a man coming my way could be a very different response. It could.
Yes, I feel that you will have a man coming your way. He has rescuer complex, so you got to keep him busy. Like, stock up now on breaking light bulbs and shit. He's going to have dark hair. It should be in about 3 to 4 weeks that you meet him. He is not currently in your circle. And with that, he is going to be very good. But again, he's antsy. He's rescuer. He needs to help you. He needs to help do things. So stock up on broken light bulbs so he can go through and change them for you.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
Good deal.
All right, let's take a moment to thank our Patreons. They make the show possible and all the other broadcastings that you guys get throughout the week.
All right, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryan, Ashley Gish, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Donna White, and the Laughing Tree Grove. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become one of our wonderful Patreons and receive all the wonderful content that they receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and our Patreons have decided that if Joe was not Techie Joe, that he would be one of two things. Either a bank manager or a serial killer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm either a bank manager or a serial killer.
But they've been getting pictures of cuteness, special photos of things together.
I know, Brenda, right? Like, I would never be a serial killer.
Uh-huh.
Never.
Uh-huh. I would be. But anyhow. But no, y'all guys get that. They get the Under the Table and Dreaming magazine, which is we have expanded and doing more on. They get a private chat once a month. They help with content decisions, all that fun stuff there.
All right, and the peanut gallery in the house says, yes, you would.
Thank you. All right, guys. You guys have a magical evening, and we will see you Thursday night with coffee and tea. And I believe it's Dottie with me. Is it Dottie? I believe so.
No, I'm off track now. I'm so confused.
I am too. We've moved them around. Anyway, join me Thursday night at 8 p.m. for coffee and tea. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. is Lady Gwendolyn with Wednesday night cauldron readings. So, yeah, those are your next two programming options. You guys have a magical day, and we'll see you later. Bye, y'all.
Good night.
The deck is stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now.